Hey YouTube, it's Penny. Happy Hanukkah. It's not quite sundown here yet, but it will be soon. I'm recording this on the evening of November 27th, Wednesday. And so may you all have light in your heart, in your homes, light in your dwelling places for the next 8 days as we remember the rededication of the temple and we rededicate ourselves to Yahuwah. So I wanted to let all of you know that I made a decision to disable comments on all of my videos. I'm working my way back through them, and it's taking a while to do this, but the primary reason is that I can't keep up anymore, and I don't feel led to just let anybody comment. Probably 40–50% of the comments that I receive are from the enemy, and just taking the time to screen all of those is becoming way too time consuming. So having said that, if there's something that you feel like you really need to communicate with me, feel free to inbox me. For those of you who might be new to YouTube and don't know how to do that, you just go to my channel, click on About, and then there's a drop-down menu where you can click on a flag, I think, and it will let you send me a private message. So, I love all of you, and I want to continue to stay in touch with folks, but even trying to keep up with my private messages has become overwhelming. The Father has continued to pour out His Spirit on me, and for which I'm very grateful. But there must be, I don't know, 200 or more dreams and visions that I have not shared with all of you, and I've been feeling more and more overwhelmed and further behind. So part of that is, because the shofar sales have been taking off, which is wonderful, and I'm thrilled, but it's taking more and more of my time. And as you know, I'm a volunteer and responsible for shipping all of the books out. So and I'm not having enough time in the Word. I'm not having enough time to pray. I'm not having enough time to process my dreams and visions. So one of the things that I can cut out is trying to monitor comments on my channel. So that's what I'm going to do. So thank you for understanding. Okay, so this video will probably seem a little random. I think what I'll probably end up doing is just sharing things as I feel led. I'm doing this differently. This time I'm not using any notes, so I'm just going to speak and try to share some things with you from memory. And as I'm editing, I may pop in some photos or something to help. But I want to start by letting you know that 2 nights ago, actually in the morning, I woke up. I'd had a full night. Literally, I think I received over 20 different things that night, like the most ever. I was like, how am I ever gonna process all of this? But the last thing that I received was this really vivid vision, and I wasn't asleep. I closed my eyes, and then it was in front of me. But it was in the morning. It was like 7:30 in the morning. I was awake. And it was as though I were looking at a TV screen, and all these images in full Technicolor it's like I was being shown commercials. And the first one was for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I'm going to put a link in the description box. It's so interesting because so many of the images in this parade and so many of the balloons are repeat images for me that I've been shown in the past. And it's not lost on me that vision that I had of JFK, where he said, it was a conspiracy of fire will surround them, and he was holding what I originally knew was a kite, and then it turned into or a balloon, right? And so it was the whole thing about the blimp image for me. Well, so now he shows me, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and it's not lost on me that those balloons that they hold they're helium balloons, but they hold them, these people do, on strings like kites. So here's the balloon and the kite. So I don't know why he's pointing us to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. if something is going to happen at the parade, or if it's just that he wants us to pay attention to all the images and the commercials that will be aired. And I don't have television, I won't be watching, obviously, the parade, but there are so many connections with Disney. He's shown me Disney over and over again. He's shown me recently again. In fact, part of the stuff that I got the other night was about all of the children's cartoons and even nursery rhymes and all of the stuff that's being fed to our children. And these balloons are almost like they're larger than life, kind of like idols. A lot of this stuff ties in with magic, the magic kingdom. He keeps showing me the duality of everything. So, the knowledge of good and evil, light and darkness. And so many of the things that are being fed to our children by way of children's programming, children's movies, children's television, are the powers that be are trying to indoctrinate the children to accept what's coming, the strong delusion. So, and I sure hope that the Father is gracious and removes, young children. But I've been shown the youth, teenagers a lot, and so it's that Generation X, we might call them, or whatever, that age group that really has been completely prepared psychologically for years now to accept this coming strong delusion, which some people call the alien gospel. Okay, so let me back up a little bit and tell you a little bit more about Disney. And so he's been showing me that the whole Mouseketeer, Mickey Mouse Club thing, it goes way back. The day that Annette Funicello died, I didn't know she died, and I was in the shower talking with the Father, and I all of a sudden thought about Annette Funicello. She pops into my mind. And I asked the Father, what do you think of her? Which is really interesting that I'm asking him this on the day she died, having no idea. And I received the understanding that he was not pleased with her, and the reason was that she was used by Disney, which I believe is just one of many organizations that's involved in the dark side. So she was used as a tool. She was one of the first people, remember all those beach blanket bingo movies or whatever? She was kind of like one of the first people to show her midriff, expose her skin. It led to bikinis, which now we've got bikini baristas everywhere. It's led to this whole pornography industry. The musicians that are prevalent in pop culture today are taking their clothes off. He has shown me Lady Gaga in so many different ways over and over again, and I don't know. She's not a former Mouseketeer, but it's possible that she's the Queen Bee, and he's been showing both T and I the Big Bee, the Queen Bee, over and over again, and I'm convinced she's at least a high priestess for Satan, and she's connected to Lady Godiva, who rode naked on a horse, covered by long hair. So here, Lady Gaga has long hair, really long hair. He's shown me several times people dressed up as horses, kind of like Halloween costumes, and I saw it again recently, and it's like, okay. And then, so I believe he's pointing me to this photo. This is how Lady Gaga arrived at a recent music awards program. Notice she's wearing lavender. Apparently she's the new spokesperson model or whatever for, I think it's Versace or something, some fashion line, and she arrived on horseback, but it was exactly what I've been shown in my dreams with people dressed up like a horse, and the long hair. So, which totally reminds me of, like that hairy back guy, this whole long hair. And someone sent me a couple people actually have alerted me to the fact that the word comet in Greek means like the long-haired one or something. So the fact that Comet Ison is having its perihelion with the sun tomorrow, which for those of you who aren't familiar, it means its closest approach to the sun, and there have been, several prophecies about it potentially having some sort of interaction with the sun that's going to cause some sort of a cosmic event. I have not been personally shown that. I've been shown lots of things about the moon in relationship to the moon goddess, but I haven't been shown anything specifically about Comet Ison. But we have been warned to look up, to observe the heavens, that he would send us signs in the sun, moon, and stars. And so, it's definitely a possibility that, since I was told, I don't know what's up with women, but after Thanksgiving everything changes. How far after Thanksgiving, I don't know. But we should definitely be paying attention to this comet. If nothing else, it's a harbinger, it's a warning. So, okay, so back to the vision that I had yesterday morning. Following the commercial for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, was another commercial, and it was it was for United Way, but it was all in red, white, and blue colors. So two possible connections. United Way has been long associated with the National Football League, and Thanksgiving Day is as much known for football as it is for Thanksgiving dinner. So that might be the connection. He might also be showing me that the red, white, and blue, might be pointing to the American way of life, or the United States of America, United Way, way of life. Maybe something about our way of life is going to change. I don't know. There were several other commercials, images that I saw. Oh, one was specifically McDonald's. So it was a McDonald's commercial, and I've been shown McDonald's many times, and so has tea, and it has something to do with this family, and it goes way back. It's interesting because a lot of the stuff has to do with the families, the blue bloods, I believe the Illuminati, or I don't know who's in control, honestly, but we know Yahuwah's in control ultimately, but I don't know who the enemy has working for him and how that all filters down. But the McDonald's thing is interesting because last night I had filet of fish and fish and chips, and over again, and tea's been pointed to Black Friday several times, and it occurs to me that not only is this a tie-in with McDonald's, but it might be a tie-in with Friday, because there's this whole Catholic thing about only eating fish on Fridays. So that might be why he was showing me fish so often last night. It's possible he could also be pointing to, I haven't looked in Stellarium. If someone else has time to do that, wants to take a few minutes to message me about that, I'll annotate the video with it. But he's recently shown me something about Sagittarius, and he could be pointing us to Pisces. So if somebody wants to take a look and see what's going on with Sagittarius and Pisces, that might be helpful. Which reminds me of a dream that I had recently that might be, these are all clues. He's not coming out and saying, okay, kids, here's how it's going to go down. First this, and then this. At least he's not doing that with me. He's just giving me pieces of the puzzle, clues. So recently there was a dream that I had of a black woman. He's shown me black and white so many different times. And again, it's the knowledge of good and evil. It's nothing racist. Abba loves everybody. And she was overweight. And again, overweight in my dreams means puffed up, full of sin. and she was getting ready to seduce her man. Like, she was going to the bathroom and she was getting herself all dolled up, and she was a very unattractive woman when she started, and she started to transform into this, I was like, wow, she's really pretty as she, anyway, she was wearing a really dark purple dress. So again, purple, but it was like eggplant. It was almost black. It was not the royal purple color of, royalty like we think of. Anyway, her man came to her door and asked her what time it was. And she said, it's 8:30 Sagittarius. So and I knew that he was from Maine. I don't know how. So maybe it's also connected to, if there's a constellation that is a lobster or something, I don't know, or crab maybe, I'm not sure. But there's something to the fact that he was from Maine, and it was 8:30 p.m. in his time zone. I had a subsequent dream where I was asking David what time we were supposed to leave. I knew we were on the West Coast in the dream, and he said our checkout time, meaning our time to leave. Sorry, my computer fell asleep there. That our time to leave was at 5:30. So I knew it was 5:30 p.m. Well, that's interesting because 5:30 p.m. on the West Coast is 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast. So he may be showing us something specific actually to the timing of something. I don't know what. So the fact that Sagittarius is a centaur, which is a half man, half horse. So here's the horse image again, so with the long hair, the mane, the long tail. So there's something to that, and I'm thinking that he's pointing us to the whole, mixed race. He's been awakening me to the fact that all of these ancient mythologies. Like recently I watched the movie Thor. I only watch the things I feel like I'm led to watch. They are feeding the public, not just in America, but around the world, with everything from, the movie Prometheus, all this stuff. It goes, even to like Iron Man and Superman, all of it. It has to do with the idea of us being mixed, a mixed race of people, or mixing our DNA with someone else. And that's what Lady Gaga's all about. She made that very clear with her whole, coming out of a egg thing, and new birth, and, birthing a race within a race. And she and Katy Perry and all these folks singing about, sex with aliens and stuff. That's the strong delusion. That's what's coming. I believe that when the Father said to me something about something happening a year after the Sennacherib event on October 31st, and then of course we didn't see a Sennacherib event on October 31st, but I'm wondering now if what he was trying to alert me to was, the whole War of the Worlds thing, that radio broadcast when it first was broadcast. It was broadcast on October 31st, and there's, if you look up War of the Worlds on Wikipedia, it's the Sennacherib is mentioned. So maybe that's what he's showing me is, when this War of the Worlds thing happens. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a real thing or a faked thing. I don't know. But when it happens, then there's something significant that happens a year later, is I think what he was showing me. Oh, so this is interesting. So the woman who was getting ready to seduce her man, who totally, to me, represents the dark side, there was a blue beam of light shining on her. And so I believe that the Father was pointing me to Blue Beam, Project Blue Beam. Look it up if you're not familiar with what that is. But he, and when I shared this with T, I'd gotten a dream about a woman being raped violently on a beach, and nobody was doing anything about it. And so I asked a passerby, what beach is this? And they said it was Wilson. And so I got on the phone to call 911. They asked me where I was. I said I'm at Wilson Beach, and I looked up and the sign said 497. So I wrote down on the, chicken scratch next to my bed, I wrote down 497 Wilson. Well, 497, he says, is the number that has to do with blue light. So there's something that he's pointing us to that has to do with, I don't know, I could speculate, but the truth is I don't know. But I've had several dreams about something evil happening on the earth, and in those dreams I was not changed yet. I mean, I've had so many dreams about changing my clothes or leaving before I'm changed. Like I'm out of here. Like I have to leave. I have to go now, because something horrible has happened, or because evil is coming, and I need to get out. And in a lot of these dreams, I'm in the process of changing my clothes, and so I think he's showing me like, Penny, you're not going to be changed yet, from corruptible to incorruptible when these things happen. And in one of the dreams, I was thinking that I should be immune to this, but carnage was happening around me, and I remember saying in the dream, I'm going to need to pray for more power. So, yeah, hopefully the power's coming soon, but I think there's so much that's available to us that we're not accessing. Recently, the morning of my sister's wedding, so she got married on November 13th, that morning, I heard the words, "Are you ready to resonate in Him?" And I was like, resonate? David and I were talking about that word and looking it up and stuff, and it has to do with frequency and vibration, all kinds of stuff. Well, that day during the ceremony, my new brother-in-law said in his vows, which were not rehearsed, he just, from the heart, I don't know if you can hear that, that's my puppy. He said these wonderful about his promises and stuff to her. And then the minister said, that really resonates with me. And I was like, okay, there's that word again. So I felt like the Father was connecting this. He was saying, this whole resonating with Him it's a marriage thing. It's something to do with us being unified with Him. It has something to do with the promise for the bride. And then that very same day, BPEarthWatch, and I don't agree with all of his doctrine, but I do think that he's onto some things for sure. But he uploaded a video. He's been, following Comet Ison, and that very day, November 13th, he uploaded a video. Look for it. Go look on November 13th. Something about the hidden code. And halfway through that video, he starts talking about the Earth's resonance. And I can't help but think that the Father is trying to show us something about, He took Adam, mankind, out of the earth, the ground. He keeps showing me sand, sandman, dirt, over and over again. And by the way, there's a new Disney movie coming out, The Guardians, and it features Sandy, the Sandman. So many connections. As I'm editing this, I realize that new movie is not Disney, it's DreamWorks, which is interesting because recently I heard the words, they come in through the woodwork, and it has to do with Hollywood and DreamWorks, and all of it. I mean, it's all being used by the powers that be to send messages. So anyway, and I apologize that I'm so washed out. It's dark in here and my computer's having a difficult time capturing the lights. There's something about the fact that we were specifically created for this planet, or Earth was created for us, I should say, and that, there's something about the frequencies of the Earth, about how He's put everything together in place with the sun and the moon and the stars and all of it, and gravity, and there's so much physics and science that goes into all this. Makes my head want to explode because I don't understand all of that. It's like higher math for me. And speaking of higher math, as a sidebar here, there's a gentleman that I had just started looking at his videos a couple months ago, and I really truly believe that the Father was revealing some pretty amazing things too, as far as the plans of the dark side and the enemy and what they're doing. Not that we're supposed to focus on that, but we're supposed to know our enemy, right? That's the first rule of warfare. And he went by Psalms 34 verse 18, and the Father specifically led me to him. In fact, I had a vision the other night of these very complicated numbers. And they started morphing, and they got more complicated, and they were cubed and squared, and all this stuff. And I was like, I need to write all this down. And anyway, and it all disappeared before I could, write it down and remember it. And I believe that he was showing me this gentleman. So if by any chance you're watching me, I mean, his channel disappeared recently, a couple weeks ago, and I don't know why. I don't know what happened. Maybe he was getting a little too close to the truth, and so they scrubbed his channel. If you're watching this, would you please send me a private message so that I can at least know that you're okay, and maybe I can still communicate with you by another means that your channel's closed now. So anyway, there's definitely something to do with the harmonics, the I've been showing light and what comes into your eyes. There's so much in the scripture about light. I've been shown salt recently. In fact, it was interesting because speaking of that gentleman, Psalms 34 verse 18, he had just, I was watching a video of his, and he had hundreds of videos. It's like him and Barb at Pike, 278 Pike Lake. I've sent her a private message asking, what happened? Like, all her videos disappeared, and she started putting up a couple new ones up, but I don't know what happened. So, anyway, but I was watching a video of his, and it had to do with radiation and salt and all of this, and I wish I could link it, but it's gone. But it was an amazing confirmation, because at the very same time that I was watching that video, I paused it to take a screenshot. In fact, I have the screenshot. Here it is. So that's on my screen, and then I get a text from my girlfriend, and it's a text of Morton salt, and it's kosher. And she was joking. My husband David is known for consuming a lot of salt, and she said something about, oh, look, a new salt for David. And I'm looking at Morton salt on this picture in this text message in front of me. At the same time, I'm seeing it on my computer screen. I'm like, what are you showing me here? This is amazing. So anyway, it had to do with Fukushima and radiation. And we're told that we're salt and we're light. So there's, but we've also been told that all these horrible things that are coming upon the earth are to judge the wicked and to wake up the sleeping bride, the sleeping believers, the lukewarm church, the Laodicea church. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to be looking for answers in the days ahead, and those of us who are called out, who are awake, who do have enough salt and light and oil, which is what Hanukkah is about, and the 10 virgins and all that, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, those of us who have that, the scriptures are so clear, especially the books that are not included in the 6640, canon, which, by the way, nobody ever canonized 66 books. It's a total lie. Those books have been removed for a reason, because there's so much in there about the end times. There's all these promises for the believers in the end times, for the called out remnant, for the chosen few who are going to be divinely protected. Now, Revelation said that there's a whole bunch of people that are going to be martyred as well, and we know that. But we also know that 144,000 are not. And by the way, so this is just me. This is just my theory. This is not thus saith the Lord. But so often we've been seeing that the scriptures have been mistranslated, sometimes purposefully, and where it talks about the 144K, there's all this confusion about them being male virgins. Okay, where in scripture does it talk about virgins? Whenever it talks about virgins, it's not talking about just one gender. It's not talking about men. It's talking about men and women as the virgins, the pure ones, the bride of Christ, the Messiah. So these 144,000, there's 12,000 from each tribe. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe they really are male virgins. But the Christian church has this misperception that they're all Jews. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Jews is a term that is describing the people from the tribe of Judah. That's one of 12 tribes. Look at who's listed in the book of Revelation. I believe that I'm from either Ephraim or Manasseh. I believe that David is from Benjamin, as far as what the Father's revealing to us. So the 144,000 are scattered all over the planet. The reason it says that they are not defiled with women, I think it's because they're not defiled with the woman. I think that's a mistranslation. The woman, the harlot church, the Christian and Protestant churches who have twisted everything. I mean, starting with Constantine in 300 AD. So that's what I think. So don't be surprised if the 144,000 are not what you think or have been taught. Okay, this is getting long, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I have a lot more to tell you, but I'm just going to have to share it later. So no matter what happens in the days ahead, no fear, only trust. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, our Lord God, King of the universe.